And welcome. We're excited to talk today with Kara Jones about looking for your ancestors in book and print. My name is Matt Wright. I'm a content specialist at Family Search, and Kara is a research specialist at the Family History Library in Salt Lake City. And like I said, we're going to talk today about looking for ancestors in printed resources like books and newspapers. So Kara, what can you tell us?
Great, thanks, Matt. Well, I'm excited to be here today and spend a little time talking to you guys about finding your ancestors in printed books and newspapers. So there are so many details and stories about our ancestors' lives that can be found in printed books and published in newspaper articles. These details have been researched and gathered by individuals, maybe historical associations, genealogy societies, and even companies over several years, and it has created a rich library of resources. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about these resources and how books and newspapers can help you learn more about your family's story. So a great place to begin looking for information about your ancestors is in printed books, specifically related to family histories and genealogies. Most of these books have been published, and every day, more and more of them are being digitized and made available online, for free even. So let's begin by learning a bit more about this great resource. I want to start by talking about printed books. Two key types of books for learning more about your ancestors are published family histories and genealogies. Essentially, these are compiled works by others that detail generational links within families. They list out details of a family group, like when they were born, who they married, when they died. They may also include specific details, such as the geographic location where your ancestor lived, personal stories about their lives, and source references. These types of books are a useful resource when you are beginning to explore your family's history. It's exciting to learn more about your ancestors, and these books are really helpful because they provide you with details about your family that others have already discovered. There's no sense in repeating research already done by someone else.
Yeah, that's such a good point, Kara, because especially as you're beginning, you want to get that as much of a head start as possible. So if we're looking for these kind of resources, what's the best way to find them? And then once you do, like, what are some of the things you can find in them that are going to be helpful?
Those are great questions. Yeah, you guys may be thinking as you're watching this video, this sounds great, but how would I ever find something written about my family specifically? Well, there are actually a lot of ways to go about that. So first, printed family history books are commonly found at local libraries or academic libraries like universities and colleges, family history centers and libraries, historical societies, genealogical societies. These books are often housed in the geographic area. Maybe if your family lived in Salt Lake City, Utah, those genealogical books could be housed at the Family History Library in Salt Lake, or maybe one of the universities there in the Salt Lake area. A quick internet search for libraries in an area your family is known to have lived will likely produce a list of repositories or libraries that you can then contact. Sometimes these libraries have an online presence, so you could go to their website. Sometimes they have an online chat feature, or you could also email them or simply call them on the telephone. Another way to locate books on the genealogy of your family is to search the internet for digitized books. And there are 4 key websites that are great for this. And I wanted to just take a minute and show you those websites. Okay, so the first website I wanted to highlight is familysearch.org. And if you go to the search feature and scroll down to books, it will take you to a landing page, Family Search Digital Library. And on this page, you're able to search in the digital library for books we've had digitized. And we have over 600,000 books that have been digitized. Another great website is Google Books. Google has digitized a lot of family histories and genealogies. So you could come right here and start searching for your family. You could search by their name, by their locality, or maybe some other unique feature or identifying words that would help discern what family was yours. There's also Internet Archive, and their URL is archive.org. This is a great website to also search for digitized books. You can see here, you can search for books and other things as well. And then the last one is Happy Trust. This is another great website to look for digitized books on your family history, your family genealogy.
You go to those and search, like you said, for the name, for the locality, something that might bring up, something that might be a detail that could be brought up for that family or for that place.
Right, yeah. You can search on all of these websites by your family name or maybe where they live, but yes, you really touched on a key point or other keywords that might distinguish them from another family. When you're at these websites, it's important to understand that books are not typically available in digital format for free until 70 years after the death of the author. This is known as copyright protection. But the great news is that lots of family histories and genealogies are no longer copyright protected because they were written so long ago.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So would you be able to maybe show us like a search for a book or a book that might have some details about a family? That'd be kind of interesting.
Sure. Yeah, let's go back here. Share my screen again. So let me give you an example from the Family Search Digital Library. I've done a lot of research on the Merritt family. So I'm going to come in here and just type Merritt family. Maybe I'll just pick Merritt. It's just a search. There's a lot of different ways you can go about this, but let's just see what comes up. So these are all different types of records. Primarily, it looks like here, books, genealogies have been submitted, family histories about the Merritt family. And you can see here, like this book, there are other surnames that are written about in this book. But here, I know I've used this book in my research on the Merritt family. So let's see here, it says Revised Merritt Records. And if you want to know a little bit more about this book, you click on it. And here it's going to give you more details about the author. It looks like the front page has been scanned. And then if you want to explore the book, you would click View All Pages. Oh, and then you need to log in. It's free. Let me do this here.
So free, you just have to have an account, but access to materials on Family Search is free.
Yeah, sorry. I kind of stopped midstream because I couldn't do two things at once. Yeah, it is free to have an account. So if you don't have an account, just create one and then you're able to access all the records at Family Search. So here, I want to view the pages. Again, it gives you some information. I'm just going to close that, and there's many ways to view the book, but you could even just go page by page. I usually start that way so I can read the beginning, what the book's about, and see the table of contents to see what I want to explore. But you can also, there's a lot of different options down here. You can view a thumbnail version. That's another way to kind of quickly scroll through the book once you've identified kind of the general area where you want to search.
And I know earlier you mentioned we were going to talk about books, and you also mentioned newspapers. So do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah. A second here. Let me, I'm working a few screens at once.
This is the life we live, right?
The second resource that I wanted to highlight to help you guys learn more about your family are newspapers. Newspapers were printed on a regular schedule, sometimes daily or bi-weekly or weekly, and those newspapers were printed in the local area and related information to the individuals in the community about local residents, what the happenings were in the community, and newsworthy events. So for genealogical purposes, newspapers chronicle those newsworthy events and people. They often will publish death notices, obituaries, marriage license applications, birth announcements, just all kinds of really great genealogical gems. And this is where you can glean all sorts of interesting information about your ancestors. These are unique details and sometimes really funny stories. And the particulars about a person that really personalize them and make them unique and memorable in your mind. And these great details are often found in newspaper articles and may not be found in other types of genealogical records.
What are some good ways to track down newspapers and see if there's anything that is about our ancestors?
Okay, yeah, let me show you that. I'm going to show you some examples. These are from the United States, though the principle behind identifying the paper is the same and would apply to other geographic areas. So to start, I'm going to share my screen here in a minute. I want to show you a website that the Library of Congress has. They've created a huge database that lists every newspaper known to be in print from 1790 to the present in the United States. These historic newspapers are typically copies on microfilm and are housed at different municipal libraries or academic libraries, church libraries, again, a whole variety of repositories, historical societies, genealogical societies. But this website identifies for you where they're housed. And on top of that, many of these newspapers have also been digitized and are available online. So let me show you this website. Okay, so here is the Library of Congress newspaper directory homepage. And are you okay if I just walk you through how to identify a paper?
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. So this past week, I've been doing a lot of research in Nebraska, and I'm trying to find an obituary for an individual. So I came to this newspaper directory page, and I'm going to select the state that I was researching in, which was Nebraska. And the county was Richardson. Oh, let's see here. There we go. And then you can also narrow it down to city. You don't have to. Again, you can have your search be as broad or as narrow as you'd like. So sometimes you have to play around with it a little bit. In this case, I am going to narrow it by city because I knew exactly where this individual had died. And then you give a time range, and this website lets you do it in 10-year increments. So my the individual I was researching died in 1898. So I'm going to do 1890 to 1900. Okay, and then I hit search. And you can see here, some of them are red because I have used this website, like I said, to identify what I needed. But here you find a whole list of newspapers that were published in Falls City, Richardson County, Nebraska, between 1890 and 1900. And you can see here, there's some repetition, and that may be because the type of newspaper, maybe they have it available on microfilm or hard copy, or sometimes what I see is the newspaper change names, sometimes just slightly, and so they list it out that way. So when I'm at this website and I come here to this part where I've narrowed it to a specific area, I usually look for a paper that has a good run. right? So a big long time period where that paper was published. So here we go. Let's look at this one. The Falls City Journal, 1882 to current. So I click on that, and then the database gives me a lot of details about the newspaper. And what I think is really important is you scroll down here to the bottom, view complete holdings information. And that's going to list who has the paper. Okay, and so here you can see the Kansas State Historical Society has this newspaper. I know from searching this one, then I clicked here on the next one. I wanted to see the paper on microfilm. Who had it on microfilm and for how long of a run? So again, I scroll down here to view complete holdings, and you can see that the Nebraska State Historical Society Library has it, and they have quite a few years covered.
They do, don't they?
And I was actually able to find my newspaper. I emailed the Nebraska State Historical Society Library, and the librarian responded back to me, was very helpful, and told me, hey, this newspaper has actually already been digitized. And so I was able to find it without her having to look up the obituary.
Well, anything else you'd want to tell us about newspapers?
Yeah, just one more thing I want to highlight is that I kind of touched on it, but many newspapers have been digitized and are available online. Some of those newspapers require a subscription and some do not. So I wanted to just share with you today a Family Search wiki page that highlights different newspapers in the United States, different resources to accessing them. So again, I'm going to share my screen. So here is a Family Search wiki page on United States newspapers. And the Family Search wiki is just such a great resource for whatever you're trying to explore, any record group or locality. But for purposes today, I wanted to show you this newspaper page. And if you go down, you just kind of scroll through and you can see here, it talks about historical newspapers. And the very first website it lists is the one I just showed you guys, that Library of Congress, how they have that newspaper database. And they also have a lot of digitized newspapers on their site. So that's just the first one. And you can see here, the wiki page has listed all types of options for looking at digitized newspapers.
And like you were saying, you know, some are free and some have a subscription. I know I've heard of Genealogy Bank and Newspaper Archive, and those are awesome resources. I mean, it's nice that there are free ones to start with. And then depending on how important or urgent that bit of information might be about an ancestor, it's a great option to be able to use one of these subscription, and you can check and see with them, you know, the duration and the cost and all that. But, you know, compared to what it used to be, you know, traveling to a library or a correspondence over postal mail, you know, even paying for this kind of information is often just exactly what you need.
Yeah, absolutely. You touch on a great point. In my research, I do a lot of research, so I have joined a few of these subscription-based newspaper websites, and the top three seem to be Genealogy Bank, Newspaper Archive, and newspapers.com. So yeah, definitely explore your free resources. And then as you delve into your research further, you can look at those subscription sites. And often you can look at the subscription site to see if they have the paper you need and the time period you need before joining the site. So you know if it's going to be worth it to get that subscription.
Oh, that's great. That's a great tip. Awesome. Well, Kara, thank you. This has been super helpful. And like I was saying earlier, I really feel like what you've shared today is going to give people tools to do stuff right away. And that's super helpful. So we'll wish everyone who's watching happy searching. And thank you again, Kara. And we'll talk to you guys later.